So just like the water heater, our AC units need some maintenance too. These units, great product, but just like we talked about insulation on that plumbing pipe in here, this is our refrigerant lines for the system. So refrigerant moves back and forth from this condenser into the unit in the attic, and that pipe gets very cold. So that's why we want insulation on that, to keep it from condensating too much. And it's because it's exposed to the elements over the years, it starts to break down. So this is one of those things you want to just look at. We can see some exposed copper down here. This just needs to be pulled off and replaced. That way we have a good insulative cover on that pipe. And then the penetration where that pipe goes into the brick has some opening along the side of it right here. I can get my finger in there. That is a very common entry point for pests. I don't want to say what kind, but anything with tails can get through there. You know, things that run around the ground in this big wooded area, if they can get their head through an opening, they can get in. And so we want to make sure that area stays sealed. That keeps us from hearing scratching noises in our attic at nighttime. That's a minor, very, very minor, and it can be fixed very quickly, but it's the kind of thing that if we're not walking around the outside of our house every now and then, we're not going to notice it. Any AC company can do that. Just about all of them, if you call, can replace that material. It's called Armaflex, and then a heavy sealant like a urethane-based caulking will fill that hole. But the other thing with these AC systems that we want to be concerned about is their efficiency and the maintenance of the unit itself. And so the way this operates, when this fan is running, it's pulling air through it and exhausting it off the top. You can't really see behind here because these grates are meant to protect it, but there is a fan coil there. And so if you consider what's on the ground, grass clippings, dirt, when this is running, it's just sucking air through it. And so this coil gets coated with dirt, grass clippings, and it needs to be able to breathe. And so once you clog that up, it works harder and harder. It's more work on the fan, it's more work on the interior system, it's more pressure on the refrigerant. And so we want to come out here. An AC company will typically remove these grates and clean that off. You can use chemicals, you can use soap and water, you can use just water, but if you're not looking for that, it's the kind of thing that most people aren't going to notice because the system's still going to work. But just like changing the oil in your car, it'll run and it might push some white smoke out when you start it up. It'll still get you where you're going, but you start to reduce the life of it. And in our business, the one thing that I can tell you that every time I see an AC system that's much, much older than the 10 to 15 years that's the expected life, the answer from those people is always, we have it maintained twice a year. Somebody comes out and cleans it, somebody comes and checks it for broken parts. And just like changing your oil, changing your transmission fluid, getting your teeth cleaned, all of these things that we want to keep in good working order for as long as possible. A small amount of money on the front end keeps you from spending a lot of money on the back end. And just like that water heater we talked about, if you haven't replaced an AC system in a while, the prices have gone way, way up. Right. So we want to keep them in good condition. We want to be comfortable, and we don't want to spend lots of money for no reason.